Hello and welcome to my kitchen. We're going to make chicken, we're going to make asparagus in the oven, and we're going to do pasta. And I'm going to drag you along for the ride and show you some interesting things that you can do, maybe make them different, as well as proper portions, or at least more proper portions. We're not really good at proper portions, but we have a way to make sure we're closer. So we're going to get the rub for the chicken ready. My dear husband has also already been nice enough to get my chicken ready. I hate chicken. I think I've said that in past. I hate chicken. So he's gotten that ready for me. We're going to do that in a frying pan. We're not going to put a lot of oil on it. So I'm going to show you how to keep things generally healthy but still tasty. All right, so let's go ahead and get that started. We have our chicken, lovingly taken care of by my husband. And then we're going to have asparagus with this as well. So I'm going to show you how that one works. It's just, I snap them, I don't cut them, and I'll explain why once we get there. We have our brown sugar. We're going to have 2 teaspoons of brown sugar, 2 teaspoons of the ground mustard, 1 teaspoon of onion powder, half a teaspoon of salt, and you know I'm not going to put that whole half a teaspoon in there, and then a 1/4 teaspoon of the ground white pepper. If you're used to black pepper, the ground white pepper has a neat flavor to it and a neat smell to it. I picked it up possibly for this recipe actually, and I like it, and now I use it for a lot of things. Okay, so we're going to get out our, here's where I do fun stuff. I'll use less salt, but a little bit more sugar. So we've got 1. And let's crunch some of that up. Let's go ahead and go a little closer recipe. 2 teaspoons of mustard. So there's 1 and there's 2. Most times when it comes to even recipes, I don't get too exact when it comes to measuring. I'm going to make adjustments to it anyway. So as long as I'm getting kind of close, then I'm happy. Okay, 1 teaspoon of onion powder. We're going to go with a little over a 1/4 teaspoon of the salt. All right, a little bit, okay. And then a 1/4 teaspoon of the ground white pepper. You know, I recommend getting this. You may not use it much, but it's always good to have multiple spices in your cupboard. So we're gonna go ahead and get that in there. Got our cooking fork. We're gonna go ahead and get this all mixed, mushed. Get the brown sugar, which is always gonna be clumpy. Get this all mushed. So let's close everything up and let's give this a good old whiff. Needs more onion. And again, I cook by smell. It's one of those things I can't teach you, but I can tell you to try smelling your stuff, not just tasting it. And a lot of that comes down to, okay, so I'm going to take the ground pepper and I'm going to very carefully, just give it a slight sniff. And it gives me an idea of what that smells like. So now that's kind of in my nose. We're going to do a little bit of the same thing with the onion powder. After a while of doing this, and of course, any roommate, husband, wife, boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever you've got, parents are going to look at you like you're crazy once you start smelling stuff. If it makes your food a lot better though, yeah, they'll change their tune. So we got a little bit more onion in there. Now, what am I smelling? I don't necessarily want any one spice to overpower the others. And what I smelled when I smelled it was a lot of the white pepper. And we don't want that to mask the mustard, especially because it's a good smell, but it is rather subtle when it's just the ground mustard seeds. Yeah, now it's not overpowered. We're going to do a little bit. Well, I don't want to get onion in my... That'll be interesting, having my Crispix in the morning, and that smells oniony. A little bit more. I'm thinking I might still Yeah, that's it. I might still put a little bit of black pepper in there as well. Yes, I know. I just said that the white pepper was overpowering it. There's a big difference between white pepper and black pepper, or what we have is we have a, gourmet peppercorns. You can see the white pepper in there and the red peppercorns, and there's some green ones in there, and there's some black ones in there. I prefer this over already ground black pepper. Forget it. I don't even have any in my kitchen anymore because, well, it ended up going bad on me, which can happen. So let's see what that smells like. Yep, that works. All right, let's close up our salt. Not our salt. Let's close up our sugar. Let's get these guys out of the way. They can quit casting shadows. Dink, dink. Those. Keeping the cooking fork. The chicken. If I mention chicken scares the crap out of me. Here's why. My ex, who did the cooking, never seemed to cook it all the way through. So it was not always completely cooked through, and I think that just kind of made me, So I'm now nervous of chicken. Pat it dry. Cat, did you just use a paper towel for that? Yes, I did. What we're gonna do is we're gonna get this sprinkled on here. We're gonna kind of rub it in. I'm gonna sprinkle this in there and on there. And you notice I got stuff all on here too. That makes my life easier to get it in there with the whole having to touch the chicken. Dry rub. So yes, you're actually rubbing it a little bit on there. Mostly you're trying to just make it stick. We are just going to make sure that these all have all the flavors. All the flavors is all over them. There we go. Get some in there. Get some back here. Get some in there. Yes, I'm making a mess all over everywhere. You're not a good cook if you're not making a mess. At least that's my philosophy on things. My dad was, oh my goodness, I think he just drove my mother nuts. Oh, he was such a messy cook. Such a messy cook. And oh, did his stuff taste so good. In fairness, my mother is a fantastic cook too. She is ridiculously clean when it comes to cooking. And like I said, her stuff is good. Look at this stuff all over my fingers. This is the disadvantage of dry rubs. Our chicken is now pretty much set. I may go and wash my fingers off. Ugh, yuck, chicken. And just sprinkle a little stuff on the top of here to make sure everything's got some good flavors. For now, we're gonna throw that aside. Let's go ahead and swipe that shit out of the way. We will get it eventually. What we need is we need to take the asparagus. We are going to snap it. We are going to add a little bit of olive oil. It was loud. A little bit of olive oil and some pepper and a little bit of salt. Okay, so now why do I snap it? Well, here's why. If you look, it's kind of bendy, right? Well, this is bendy. This is tasty. This, see how it doesn't even snap? Well, you can cut through that, but this is where it's all hard and chewy and nasty. So what I do is that I kind of get in here and see where it'll snap. See how it's not snapping so easily there? At restaurants, the asparagus is often tough. Not all of it, but it's tough. So this piece might be okay, and then this piece might be fine. But the problem is they will take, let's see, say we go with that piece. Now say we cut them all to the same size. Well, I'm losing some tasty bits. That's not too bad. If I get one like, I'm trying to find one that'll be nice and long. Oh yeah, that one will be nice and long. And if I then cut, trying to get an idea for you. If I cut that one down to here, you see all that white bit? Well, that's nasty. That's not nasty, but that's the non-yummy bits. If I then pop it instead, I'm getting the best parts. And I have never had my asparagus be tough on the end. So I'm going to go ahead and snap all of this. We got a little bit of a sugar on our asparagus. We're going to take some olive oil. I start with a very, very little bit, and I do that because I want to be able to add a little bit. I do not want to have to try and wipe all these things off and waste paper towels. As much as you might think, I do try to be careful. We're going to add a little bit of olive oil. We're just going to do that. I'm going to guess it's probably not even half a tablespoon. Okay, I'm going to mix them up a little bit here. I want to make sure everybody's coated but not drenched. And we can see a little bit of shininess. I'm going to make sure everyone's got that little bit of shininess. The nice thing about a bowl is it keeps everything contained for the most part till I send a asparagus flying into the other room. Looks like we are all coated quite well here. Look at that. Like I said, you don't want to use a lot of olive oil. You want to use as much as you need. We've got that. We're going to add some pepper. I do love my pepper. All right, let's do it this way. Ah, that's better. It's time to take this pepper grinder apart and clean it out. Okay, again, we're gonna mix them up a little bit. We're gonna try and make sure we get everything coated in pepper. You can see there's still some kind of on the bottom. I will go ahead and scoop that out once I get them to where they go. Now, where are they going? Yes, more. I'm in the oven right now, a pan, just a baking sheet. It's in the oven right now and it is getting hot. And that is so that we can toss this on there and it'll get a good sizzle. Ooh, got this from another, recipe group. Half the time when I look at these recipes, they have the chicken and stuffing, or this one was salmon and asparagus and whatever. They don't have to go together. Let's do a little bit of salt, not much. Get that all on there. And I think we'll go with that. Sometimes I add some onion powder, sometimes I add some garlic powder. Now with these, if I'm doing them in the frying pan, I will do regular garlic. But in this, I tend to do more powder just because it tends to stick better and deal with the pan better. I am actually going to add just a little bit more olive oil. I want to make these guys sticky enough because the pepper is not quite sticking as I would like. This is what I mean by using just what you need. If a recipe tells you to use half a tablespoon of olive oil, use a quarter tablespoon, which I think is like a teaspoon and a half or something. Unless it's like if you're doing cakes or something. Baking, you gotta be a little bit more exact. Cooking, not always. There we go. We can see all that stuff that was stuck on the bottom is no longer stuck on the bottom. We have got our asparagus is ready, our chicken is ready, and we are gonna go ahead, get turned over, and look at the stove. Cooking has a lot to do with timing, and it's very easy to get your timing off. This is where practice and experience comes in. And I will tell you this, I screw it up every time. There's nice things that I have an easier time because one or two of the items can be finished but aren't going to get ruined if they wait too long. Then there are things that you can very quickly screw up. Unfortunately, in this dinner, all of them could screw up. What I want to do first, we're going to put some garlic in. This is for the noodles. A little bit of garlic, and I think we'll put a little bit of onion powder in there too. So I have my water on because that is one that is going to be, my cat's being pathetic. That's one that's it can come up to boil and then I can estimate from there. The first thing I want to do is measure my pasta. We're going to move this out of the way. Is the burner hot yet? It's a little warm, but it's not bad. I had mentioned before using a measuring scale, kitchen scale. This is mine. Etexity, I don't know. It works quite nicely. It is loud. It also has a timer on it. It also tells you the temperature in the room. Thermometer's up in the upper right, timer's in the upper left, should I decide to use that. And then of course there's measuring. You can zero it, you can change whether you want grams or ounces. The package on noodles says 2 ounces is a serving. You will be surprised. I'm going to show you what 2 ounces is. And I want you to think about how much you normally cook just for yourself. Oh, this one's kind of deceiving because of the way it works. So that's 2 ounces of pasta. So that's a serving of pasta. All right, if I get my hand in there, whoop, you can kind of get an idea. It's there we go. It's a little over a handful. I know when it comes to this specific pasta, which I love. I love my not really egg noodles. I will eat twice that, and I used to eat twice that. Now, what I cook is a serving and a half. So we each get, if you take 3, divide it in half, or 30 divided in half is 15, so 1.5. So it's a little less. So it's 3/4 of a serving, I think. John doesn't care for pasta all that much, so I actually tend to take out a little bit more because then it keeps me from eating that many pasta. So we're going to go with 2.5. We're going to put this over here. The chicken and the asparagus will probably cook about the same amount of time. So I am going to take the pan out, put the asparagus on there, and then start the chicken all at the same time. Now, like I said, this has been in here heating up. So this pan is hella hot. And you'll hear that as soon as I put these on there. Hear them sizzling? I want to get these guys spread out fairly quickly. So hopefully there's a single layer. It's not going to be perfect before it starts to cool down too much. And that's about a layer. It's going to go back in the oven and it's going to cook. In fact, the pan is hot. It's going to give it a little bit of a crisp. I really do like doing it this way. We're going to put some olive oil in there. Because what I'm going to do, this recipe for this chicken is supposed to be grilled chicken. We're not grilling it, mostly because we don't have a grill. We're going to sear it on the stove. And when I sear, I think I've showed you this before, this is my little, you hush. Nobody asked anything from you. It's my little pampered chef. It is a great splatter guard. If we splatter stuff, or if we sear stuff, sorry, it's going to splatter everywhere. So I want to start with 1 tablespoon of olive oil. This is going to take about 8 minutes. It will tell you on the packages how long it should take to cook. This one says 7 to 9 minutes, so 8 minutes, right in the center is usually how it works for me. Obviously, we've got the asparagus in the oven. We're going to get our pan here situated. It doesn't need to cover every single inch, but we want to kind of spread out because we're going to let this get hot. Once it gets hot, we're going to throw those in there, let them cook, check them, flip them, let them cook again, and go from there. If you can hear it, the asparagus is popping. Let's go ahead and get, I think it's going to actually end up being done sooner than usual. I did let it get all kinds of hot. And these are, I know you can't see this, these are thinner asparaguses than usual. So my olive oil, as you can see, is liquidy. If you're not sure if it's ready to give a good sear, it's ready. Well, you don't say. Olive oil can catch on fire, so you've got to be very careful with it. One of the reasons I use very little of it, I've only had 1 pan fire. If you get a fire in a pan, leave the pan where it is, turn off the burner if you can, and grab a lid and put it over top. Don't put any water in it. Don't reach for it, nothing. Don't move it because that can get stuff jostled around and make it worse. Get a big lid, get a cookie sheet, whatever, just pop it on top. No oxygen, no fire. We have got our noodles. Pasta is now in here and it's cooking. So now the time is on. We're gonna set this timer here because I'm right here so it don't matter. We've got chicken. Wrong way. Splatter guard. And we're going to kick this down to right around there. My main reason for having my thermometer, and that is this stuff right here. We got this, we saw this in the pizza episode. I was using it to check the water temperature. Now I'm going to use it to check chicken. But I can hear it sizzling. You can see, I hope you can see that. You can see it's kind of white, not quite halfway through. And you can see it sizzled quite underneath. Maybe a little bit too brown, but we're all right. But you can see how much of it's white. We still want to cook it for a bit before we flip it over. But I've got it now down to 3. So that has taken a lot of my heat off, but I'm still getting enough heat. So now I can take this, shake it around. Just like your oven, and just like I had mentioned in a previous episode, you can get hot spots because number one, you can't get it dead even, and number two, unless you've got a really expensive stove, you're not going to have a simple matter of every spot on there is even. While that is doing that, I'm going to bring up our asparagus. That's just starting to look pretty good, right? I'm going to do a little bit of flipping with it. We want to make sure that both sides get a chance to be crisped. You can see a couple of them already are. Best way to tell if asparagus is cooked through. I want to kind of try and get it back in one even layer. All right. And that is, I washed the fork. See how it just kind of went right in there? Nice and easy. Okay, so this is pretty much cooked. Now we're just going for crispness. All right, chicken sounds like it is having itself a fit. We're gonna check it again. Yeah, now you see it, it's about halfway through. Oops, well, you got ahead of me. Now we're gonna go ahead and flip it. A little bit of brown. Actually, it's all kind of surface brown, but a little bit of brown, a little bit of black, but that ain't so bad. We will check the temperature in a minute or two and check our asparagus again, and we're gonna stir the noodles. So we'll probably suddenly pop back into bean. And as is usually the case, like I said, it's all about the timing. My noodles have gotten done before everything else. What I'm going to do is I'm going to drain a little bit of the water out. I'm going to top it up with some cool water. I don't know if it really does. That very slows down the cooking process without really making them cold. How does our chicken look? Temperature 140, part of the way in. If we go in the middle, 132. Another way to check is if you poke it and you get liquid out, and if it's milky, look at this thing. You just blew up like a little popcorn. If it's milky, or even if it's got like a pinkish tinge to it, it's not time. You want it to run clear. At least that's what I've been told. And we're gonna try this one. Look at that. That is a whole lot cold. We're gonna kick our temperature back up, because obviously we came down too far, and we will check it in a minute or two. Let's see where we're at. Chicken back. We can go ahead and remove this one I'll move it more for a minute. Let's see, we have got 170, 130. That one's it blew up like popcorn, and now it's not gonna cook all the way through. I may have to slice it down the middle, although let's see. We've got the side that was in. Yeah, we just need it to be on the other side for a little while. You see how it's still a little milky, but it's mostly clear? See if we can do that with this one and get any liquid out of it. Yeah, I think I've gotten all the juice out of it that I'm going to get out of it. Which is good, because I don't want to, you know, lose the juice. Let's see. So we're going to let this one cook for a little bit. Now, because I know my pans, I know that over here tends to cook faster. Hotter, higher, something like that. Now, because the chicken is cooked well enough through, I don't have to worry too much about the cooking fork. It's cooked all the way through. It just needs a little bit of going. So we're gonna go ahead and let that go. I'm gonna drain my noodles. Let's check our asparagus. Asparagus is, oh, look at that. It's got a little bit of crispy to it. It's not mushy. There's still a bit of a, you know, when I try to put this in there, it gives me a little bit of resistance, but it shouldn't be, you know, hard. So that looks good. We're gonna give it another flip or two. Flip, 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 flip. And then I'm gonna put it back in there and turn the oven itself off. Timer's off, oven's off. But it'll keep that nice and warm. Chicken should be done. Check our temperature. 150. Ooh, you are just determined, aren't you? 153. 162. Let's flip you back over. Yep, we're gonna have to cut that one. When you have one that's just being ornery, sometimes you got to give it a little bit of finessing, and that often means, ow, 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 ow. That means giving it a little bit of a slice. Whoop. What we're going to do is we're going to split this, hopefully without me killing myself or the pan, so that the heat can get in there a little bit better. Let's see, it's not too bad in there. That little bit of milkiness is not what we want. We want white, but not milky. Let's check our temperature again. Yeah, that's cooked all the way through. That's cooked all the way through. I'm gonna let these get to where they should be, which should happen really fast now. We are good. I'm going to go ahead and drain the pasta. Turn that off, set it up there, put our splatter guard back on it, and we are ready to eat. I still got sugar over there. So we've got our pasta drained. We've got our chicken done. Put that there. Whoop. Chicken's over there. Pasta needs a little bit of butter. Asparagus is, ooh, that little bit of extra in there. Crisped everything up just a little bit. Oh, that's perfect. Okay, we've got that. A little bit of butter, not much, just enough to give it a little bit of flavor. And that does it for dinner. Hope you give this a try. I'm going to put the recipe down in the description. Give it a try. Use your own vegetable with it. Maybe put sweet potato or mashed potatoes alongside of it. Whenever you see a recipe with all of these things, it doesn't mean that you have to do those things together. It's one of the reasons I like to focus on each thing individually, except for the pasta. It's easy. Because you know how to cook the asparagus now. So you can make the asparagus with steak. You know how to cook the chicken now. You can make the chicken with a sweet potato and broccoli. Have fun. The most important thing about cooking is you enjoy what you're cooking. All right, you guys have a good day. I will see you next time.